Hey guys, what is up? My name is Stephen Tamman, and today I'm going to be talking about the organization plan that I have moving forward for the next couple weeks. So I use this platform right here called DevOps. So this is Azure DevOps, a service offered by Microsoft all the time at my job as a software engineer. And so I had this idea a couple weeks back of, well, I have a lot of tasks that I organize in my projects outside of work. And so why don't I go ahead and put all that experience I have to use? So I've actually been very happy with using the DevOps interface to organize my personal life. Kind of wish I'd done it sooner, honestly, like back in college when I had even more things that I had to organize. But I'll go over all that probably in a separate video. Today, what I want to talk about is what I have on my agenda for the next 2 weeks. So those of us in software engineering who develop on Agile, the Agile framework of software development, I guess specifically my team does Scrum, but at any rate, we do these things called sprints, which are basically 2 week periods in which you plan out your work. So you get a number of tasks and you make sub points for them, which we'll get to in a second here. And you organize your work in these 2 week sprints. And then after that's done, you review what you did. It's called sprint review. And then you do a retrospective to talk about what went well and what didn't so that you can learn. And then, of course, what happens at the beginning of a sprint is called sprint planning. And that's kind of what we're doing today. I'm going to go over all of the things that I'm planning on knocking out in the next 2 weeks, talk about some of the decisions I'm making here. And this, more than anything else, is just to give people who are interested in what I'm doing, not that I think everyone in the world is going to be particularly interested, but just in case anyone is, this will give them a snapshot of what I'm planning on working on and the effort I'm going to be putting in. So this right here is the full list of tasks that I'm planning on knocking out in the next 2 weeks. So this view right here is called the backlog view. So I have a wider backlog here of work items that is going to span basically all of the sprints that I'm going to be doing in the near future. So you can see I've actually got written up here. I'll maybe knock that sidebar out a little bit. A backlog here that's not just unique to sprint one, this first sprint that I'm organizing from July 17th to July 30th, but also just for the foreseeable future, I'm lining things up, getting them in a ready state so that I can pull them into another organization cycle, another sprint to work on later. So at any rate, this time though, we're looking at just the first sprint. So if I want to see the backlog for just the sprint, I can go to the sprint view, and that's what we're looking at right here. So this is the board for the sprint. And so you may have heard of an organization system called Kanban. And so this is similar to that, with perhaps the difference that we have all of these, to do, doing, done visually mapped out here by tasks. Kanban tends to have tasks in columns rather than, horizontally blocking them like this. But at any rate, I find the visual presentation very helpful in terms of organizing work. And so I was just showing the backlog view here that lists all of the tasks in this sprint, all of the things I'm going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. But in talking about this, I'm actually going to go through and we're going to look at what I have tasked for myself explicitly with the subtasks for each issue. So I'm not going to spend a great deal of time here on any one of these things, but I just want to give people an idea of what it is that I'm going to be working on. So one of the things I'm going to do, I've put this off for a while. I try to chunk the Amazon orders that I do. So I make a list of things that I'm planning on buying. I do have an Amazon Prime subscription, but nonetheless, I still kind of, just to save shipping materials and all that, try to sort of bundle stuff. So one of the things I've been thinking of doing for a while here is anytime I have something that I'm buying, I tend to come up with justifications for myself, so that I don't just impulsively buy things. But it cost me not a lot of time at all to just turn on a recording and basically just, word vomit all of my thoughts about why I'm buying this and why I'm buying that. And now that I have my video recording and editing software set up, and also the program that automatically remove silence from videos so that I can sort of set up takes easier and all that. It doesn't cost me very much time. And I think it might be helpful, just in case anyone else is interested in any of the stuff that I'm presently buying. So I'm going to kick that off this week. I don't think it'll take me super long, like I said, since I should just be able to go. And then I have all of the content planning for the YouTube channel that is basically just coming online. So for a long time, I am going to be running a Bible teaching website. It's something that I feel like I'm personally called to. But for a long time, I thought that was going to be pretty focused on text. So text studies like this, you see the table of contents over on the right that is basically purely written. It's got some fancy stuff like the footnotes and all that as well, but not video, basically. However, talking to several people and with some experience, I've shifted not away from that. I'm still going to have a high focus on text, but I'm also going to be doing more videos. And so I spent a lot of time the last little bit thinking about how to do that, specifically how to organize videos so that they're short, 20 to 25 minutes makes it a lot easier for people to digest. Also organized, so writing outlines, referring back to outlines throughout the video so that the videos stay very focused. And then the third really big key point that I'm going to try to emphasize is timestamping all the videos. So it's actually harder than you think, especially when you have a group of people, to get timestamps for all the topics you discuss in a video. If you control it, it's pretty easy. You just control the topics you do. You show it somewhere on the screen, and then you go back and post-production of the video and you add them yourself. But if you can't control the topic, so people talk about random things, it's a lot harder than you think. But I've spent some time thinking about that, and I'm going to try to timestamp everything. So I launched my own teaching series last week, or I guess this week, I suppose. 2 videos up from that so far. And that will continue, probably 2 videos a week there of just me. And then the meeting we have been having on Saturdays, where we've been posting these hour-and-a-half, maybe 2-hour-long videos, I'm going to try to split those recordings in 3. So maybe 3 20 to 25-minute recordings and with full timestamps. So all of these things are going to take time for me. And so I'm trying to budget that explicitly into the planning I have here. So over here on the right, we have the work breakdown here. I've assigned all these tasks to myself. Capacity-wise, I've said I'm going to work all 7 days of the week for 2 hours a day. Now, if I get up in the morning, that gives me a couple hours before work when I can just focus on getting things done. So that's the plan. We'll see if I stick with it or not. But that, 14 times 2 gives me 28 total hours. And you see, I've tasked myself all the way out to that 28. Now, of course, these are just time estimates. Sometimes they take longer, sometimes they don't take as long. But it's a good way of tracking your progress so that you at least set reasonable goals for yourself. So where I was going with all this video stuff was that I have tasks set out to prepare some stuff to make the recordings go smoother for those hour-and-a-half recordings we do on Saturdays. And then also some time there to build timestamps and to write summaries for each of the videos. So not to get too technical, but I'm actually going to be pulling the automatic transcriptions from YouTube, and we're going to try to say a key phrase. I'm thinking probably the words new topic when we're transitioning topics. So, this is the new topic we'll be talking about, or now I want to talk about this new topic, or however people want to say it. As long as they include those words, I'll be able to download the transcription file, search on that phrase, and then create timestamps from that. And what's really cool about this is when I use the command line tool to remove silence from the video. It's basically a wrapper for FFmpeg for anyone who's interested. It automatically removes audio silence from the videos. Well, I can run that tool and I can still use the timestamps because I'll upload the cut video post-process to YouTube, and it will then generate the subtitles. So pretty neat, technical, but takes a little bit of time to go ahead and Control F to find the topic transitions to add the timestamps, because I'll also have to write out the topics here. And I'll have to listen to what we say when we say new topic and then write that down. And then I have the general tasks for making lessons in the video teaching series I'm doing on, this study. And so we have early in the week, the pre-recorded video I do, I have to prepare the slides. And then after I make the video, I have to post them, link them on the website, write the summary, timestamp it, and then do that again for the Q&A video that we have later in the week if people have any questions on that. And then we have these two tasks. So sprints are 2 weeks. So I'm going to be doing this. This one's on Saturday. So tomorrow's Saturday, July 17th. But a week from then, I'll have to do the same thing. And then I have the third lesson, and then the third lesson's Q&A also for the week following. So that's a fair chunk of time. And then the rest of the stuff is really going to be focused on knocking out most of the rest of the things that are bottlenecking me from finishing this site here, the ministry website that I've been, people who know me will know I've been working on this for years now, actually. But one of the things that I still have left outstanding is documentation. So for a long time, the bottleneck in me getting this up has been me feeling like, well, actually, whoops, I don't have it published yet. It's still in dev mode. Well, anyway, I won't pull that up then. Documentation on the website theme that I've been running everything through, basically justifying the reasons why I'm laying things out how I am. And basically I decided, I'm being too much of a perfectionist here. I may care about why I do things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to write it up for the rest of the world. So I've kind of given up on finishing all the documentation up front. So what I've decided to do is be very mercenary about it and only pull in the descriptions and the justification for things that I need to link to for people to understand how to use functionality. So I'm going to have a summary page though. I had a page on this site here just explaining basically, actually, I think it may still be up because I haven't pushed those local changes either. Yeah, this page right here that talks an awful lot about all of the advantages that this site offers from a content sense. So, we have stuff like here, hyperlinking to book resources. And we're talking here about how you can jump to edit all the pages straight from GitHub and all of the UX stuff. So the user experience, the sidebar menu, the dynamically scrolling table of contents. When we go here on these pages, you'll see that we have these embedded windows that lets you have lexicons cross-linked. And if you click on the lexicon, you actually have a full original language concordance right there, and all of this advanced stuff. Well, basically, a lot of that's going to get pulled out into the summary here that I'm going to do on my personal website, which is where the project theme for this website is going to live. Or not project theme, the project documentation for this website theme is going to live. And so I'm just going to try to do the greatest hits, not explain and justify everything, even though I have quite a bit written up, tens of pages probably, about the reasoning behind all this. Well, basically that doesn't have to come up front. At least that's what I finally come to after thinking about it for a while. So summarizing all of that, linking the more formal write-ups for the things that I do need to formally write up. So the things that drive actual functionality that people would want to be able to click on. I'd say the best way of thinking this is in like self-documenting. So you can see here I have content lists, and over here we have the content level. So if something's intermediate, you think beginner, intermediate, advanced, it's appropriate for intermediate levels of readers. Well, when they click on this, right now on this page, it takes me straight to the documentation for, okay, what are content levels? What does this mean? So I'm going to be moving some of this over to the documentation of the website theme. And one of the reasons for this is because I would like to be able to generalize the theme so that other people can make use of it. So I have 2 people who I know I'm going to be helping build websites for them. And, that is short-term, the thing, because then it'll be my site plus 2 more, plus my personal website is actually 4 websites that will be pulling from the same theme. And rather than having them write a bunch of documentation about the same features that we've already implemented, well, if I'm just smart about it, I can have all of the short codes. So the things that automatically build the fancy looking features, like these list pages, the ones that you can collapse and expand and all that. Well, I'll have these automatically linked to the theme documentation. And that way, all 4 sites that use these things will be able to instantly have that documentation at their fingertips. So that's what I came to, but I have to write up the documentation for that. So I'm going to finish off the pages that are actually important, at least so far as I've identified them thus far, which is content level, so that beginner, intermediate, advanced things, the writing level here. A couple big points. You'll see on this page, we have the yellow sections or side notes. These are basically just tangentially related things. And then these technical discussion sections. So you can see here, we're talking about a Greek word in some of my personal writings. So this is my personal website, which eventually, once the ministry website gets launched, I'll come back and hopefully clean this one up a lot as well. I have, for example, stuff written here about nutrition. This was one of the things that I thought was high impact, high priority, so I wrote it all up. And I have discussion here of intermittent fasting and a lot of stuff talking about metabolism and all of this. And eventually, when I go back and I make it pretty with all the content sections like this, well, some of that will probably end up in the technical discussion sections. And the idea behind the writing level is, well, not everyone, you can think particularly children, people without a lot of education, non-native English speakers, well, they might want to just get the gist of things without having to wade through all the really complicated technical stuff. And so I have this toggle that just, boom, gets rid of all of the tangential discussion, because, for example, for non-native English speakers, reducing the amount of things they have to read will make their life a lot easier. So if they're struggling reading English, period, then reducing the amount that they have to read to, get the content on your site, well, that's obviously a good thing. And then the technical discussion especially will just take that discussion and hide it immediately on the page. So that's something I spent time implementing. But I need to document that behavior. Otherwise, it's confusing. You don't see it. Of course, these complicated windows are one of the other things that I have on the docket, because you look at that and, if you've never seen it before, you're like, whoa, goodness, what's this? How does this work? You see I have it height adjustable with JavaScript here, so people can limit it. If you're doing something more advanced, like you're searching on a word, you want to see all the lexicon entries for it, you might minimize this, and boom, now you've got every place this word occurs highlighted in the entire New Testament. We're still in Matthew, Mark, Luke here. Anyway, you can adjust the height of that and all that, but this doesn't seem super intuitive or obvious, right? So I'm going to have to write all that up as well. That's one of these tasks, I think. Yeah, where are we? Short code, yeah, embedded Bible app iframes. That's what these things are. And then I've also got content level, like I said, writing level, those iframes. I'm also going to add a link, one of the to-dos. It's not really a bug, but you see how I've got these height buttons. Well, I can probably just get away with the icon, and then I'll save maybe 20, 30 pixels just by deleting the word height here. And then I can add a button over here on the left that basically is like, what's this? So someone clicks that, they get taken directly to the documentation. In user interface design, something I'm a big fan of is so-called like discoverability or self-documenting design, where people can click on buttons and stuff, and then it will automatically take them to what explains it. So I'm a big fan of that. Like I said, I do it here on, no, come on, don't be slow. On these lists here with these, people click on the content level, they automatically get taken to the documentation that explains what it is. So I like that self-documenting design. All right, well, that's a lot of it. That's updating the short codes there. We're also going to make all the short codes. Like I said, I'm moving the documentation to the project document, the project page on my personal website, where I'm talking about the open source theme that I'm writing. And so all of the links throughout all of these short codes, this link here right now, so you look down at the bottom left of the screen, you see the URL. It's pointing to this website, Bible Docs, which is my ministry site. But I'm going to have that going to actually the theme documentation. So I need to go update all the links for that. That's what this task is. And then only a couple more things in the way of this theme launching. So getting the documentation there is really the big thing. I do have some content up already. I'll be writing more, particularly once I get close to launching. But once I get the documentation of features out there as it is, one of the only things that I have left outstanding is a bug that I got to fix. So I was looking at, well, okay, I'm not on that page anymore. I was looking at this page here talking about eternal rewards. And so I was showing you the writing level bit, right? So you can see over here, we have these things that show up in the table of contents that are in this side note section here. But when I hide this, you see how that still is in the table of contents? Well, it turns out that right now I have JavaScript that hides it if you have a technical discussion section that's a header. It takes it out of the table of contents, but I have to update the jQuery to actually remove the side note sections as well. These have a custom class that I've put on them. So these are one of the CSS classes, like it handles like the nesting and stuff, is called like special content section, I think. And then this one's got a class called side notes. Well, basically you just do a jQuery selector on the side note class. And then if it's in this table of contents, these are unordered lists, so like UL and LI tags and HTML. Well, you go ahead and you hide the active ones, which is what triggers like the nesting over here. Anyway, I don't want to get too technical there, but the bug in this is not like something is super broken that I haven't figured out. I know what it is. I just have to go add the jQuery calls to go ahead and remove the side notes from the table of contents when I toggle the writing level as well. So that's basically it. Once I polished the summaries as well. So that's a big thing that I was aiming for. Something that I really wanted to see user experience wise is being able for people to have these summaries. They can toggle it with the settings page here. These are just setting cookies in the browser, super simple. But if they don't want to see the summaries, they can hide the summaries on list pages, and then they can fit a lot more links on the page, right? See, that's a lot less space taken up than when you show the summaries. But the summaries in general are helpful for people navigating your website in terms of content organization. So I need to write summaries for a couple things. So one of the main first studies I'm going to be doing is this one on basically, it's not quite a Christian epistemology, but along those lines. And you can see I have the full outline here. It doesn't look super great on the page right now because these are all like, H2, H3, H4 tags. But in the outline over here, you see where the study will go eventually. But as you see on the list page here for this content type, I haven't written a summary for this yet. So if you expand it, it's blank. So I have a couple more things I got to write summaries for. And then hopefully that's it. I've been putting a date on this a couple of times only to have it blown back because I keep coming up with stuff to do, but I really am close. I've got maybe 2 pages on the website now, quite a few of these question and answer things where I've written up some exchanges, some thoughts I've had on various topics. This is me generating the questions and the answers. This was from a while back when a friend asked me about a question and I was answering their question. So I do have some things up. And of course the videos, like I mentioned, are that channel is going to become much more active. Currently the production pace is going to be about 5 videos a week. If I ever scale to do 2 teaching videos of my own a week, it'll be 7 videos every week, each about 20 to 25 minutes. So, that's quite a bit of content right there. But anyway, all of this, I guess off topic isn't the right word, but, you've seen it now. At some point, I'll probably do a demo video on doing your task management in DevOps. Like I said, I'm super biased because I'm a software engineer. So I use this all the time in my day job, which means that it's just very much how I like looking at the world. But nonetheless, I think it is actually super useful to task things out and then to break them down. Again, more software engineering things, and this concept of encapsulation and compartmentalizing the work you do, breaking big things down into smaller things. But I found it super useful. This is actually going to be my first time trying it out explicitly, using the agile software management software, explicitly for my own task management. But I get a bang out of it when I'm at work. I actually help schedule some of the work for my team now. But that's what I wanted to go over today. So again, this is what I'm going to be doing for the next couple weeks. So like July, 17th to the 30th. And, once that time is up, I will make another video for sprint review and retro talking about, what I got done and how it went and what I think I could do better in the future. And then I'm planning on continuing to do this actually. So it's something that helps me collect my thoughts. I plan all this out. I task stuff, I hour stuff. And at the end of it, we have this burn down. I'll be able to see how I did. You may have seen these. They track what's called velocity, which is if you give effort points to tasks, you can see what your relative productivity was from sprint to sprint. And I'm planning on using some of these metrics. And the nice thing about them is they're completely automatic. So some of that more advanced stuff we'll get into, and I'll see how this progresses. Like I said, I'm planning on putting up videos for sprint planning and then review and retro just to track the progress that I'm making in all of the tasks I do outside of work. All right, well, I think that's it for this week. And we'll report back in 2 weeks and see how much I actually got done.